Has the show been on?
Since November. We're on our 15th episode. We have 45 clips posted to YouTube right now.
Okay.
The biggest clip has 20,000 views.
Okay. Welcome to Reelblack, and we're here with the multi-platinum artist Jeffrey Osborne. You may know him from the 70s funk and R&B band LTD, and also as a solo artist where he performs songs such as On the Wings of Love and Stay With Me Tonight. And the one that gets the ladies going is the Woo 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 song. I like that song. What made you record Woo Woo Woo?
Because I like that song. Actually, I didn't write that, so it was given to me. A couple of songwriters, a guy by the name of Bruce Roberts and Andy Goldmark wrote that song. And as soon as they played it for me, I kind of fell in love with it. It was really, the title of it was You Should Be Mine. And when I just about completed the album, it was an album back then, now there's CDs, but it was actually an album then. I was playing it a lot at home just to get some feedback, and I think my daughter was like about 3 years old at the time. And she kept calling it the Woo Woo song. So I told the writers, I said, I don't know, we might need to call this the Woo Woo song. And they said, you know, that's a good idea. So they subtitled it the Woo Woo song. That's all everybody knows it by now, is the Woo Woo song.
Wow, out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to come out, right?
That's true. That's true.
We have to watch what we say. But one thing I have to say is you have written and you have performed in some of the most romantic ballads that's out there. And I highly encourage people to purchase your Love Song CD if they haven't already. Yeah. But what intrigues me about you is that, like Marvin Gaye and Teddy Pendergrass, you started off as a drummer.
Yeah, I did.
And does being a drummer give you a leg up onto a singing career? Or?
I don't know if it does, but I think it gives you a good structure from the bottom up of how things are supposed to feel. You know, I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, and so I got the opportunity to play with a lot of great musicians that were working their way through Berklee School of Music in Boston. So, you know, you kind of get a good feel of how a song is structured from the bottom up when you're being a drummer, because the drummer is usually the low man on the totem pole, but it kind of holds everything together. And I think that's what it did for me. It just gave me a good feel, and it also gave me a good pulse on really how to phrase and how to keep a phrase laid back to the point where it would touch somebody. Because I think the most important thing lyrically is to touch somebody with what you say, and also vocally. I think the power of a whole note is more powerful than anything. I've always felt that if you can hold a note and touch somebody with a whole note, then you have reached someone, as opposed to singing a million runs and riffs that people can't walk around singing ordinarily. But I think it's just the value of a whole note, and I think the foundation of being a drummer just allowed me to get inside of that pulse and actually reach people and touch people. And I think so for me it was, you know, a major help for me being a drummer.
Wow. We know that you're on tour right now, so
yeah.
Is there anything going on that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'm not actually on tour, but I'm out every week working, you know, and it's kind of nice now because I get to the point where I'm going out weekends. I'm working Thursday through Sunday. I get to go home Monday through Wednesday, which is kind of nice. So I kind of like the fact that I'm getting to work and still enjoy my home life. My last CD was out a year ago, and it was entitled From the Soul, and it was actually a collection of classic R&B songs. And I'm getting ready to go back in the studio in September and start a new project, and hopefully have it released somewhere around March or April of next year. So I will have a new CD out next year.
I can't wait to hear it.
And I think this will all be original songs, all original songs, and it'll be very ballad heavy. You know, trying to talk me into doing a ballad album, but I always feel that if I do an album of ballads, I have to add so many of those ballads to my next show that I got so many ballads now. I'll just put people to sleep out there. I have a show full of ballads.
No, so I sleep. It'd be more like
Well,
kids were born afterwards.
yeah, but I mean, there's only so many. You know, when you're doing a show, you kind of have to pace it. And right now, there are a lot of songs that I can't even do in my show because I have so many CDs out. You know, going all the way back from '72 with the LTD.
Yeah.
I have so many ballads that I couldn't possibly do them all in the show. So I'm always concerned with the next project that I have too many ballads and I have to add a couple more ballads to the show. I just like to keep the show at a good pace, you know. Unfortunately, I've had some good up-tempo hits in my career, so I try to balance it out. But you know, I know ballads are definitely my strength, so
Yes.
I think the next CD will be very ballad heavy. There'll be a lot of ballads on it.
Let's talk a little bit about LTD, your experience with
LTD, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, that was probably the greatest period of my life, the time that I spent with LTD, because I got a chance to really learn the business, learn about structuring songs. I became a pretty solid songwriter during those days with LTD, and it was mainly because it was a large group, and we had 4 horn players. So you get a chance to write, you get a chance to hear your stuff written and played by, you know, orchestrated, and so it was a great period for me. And at the same time, it was a growing period. And I left in 1979. I think I joined in, well, actually it was 80. I joined the group in 1970. So I was with them for 10 years. We did like 8 CDs or 8 albums back then. And it was just a process of evolution. I got to the point where it was time for me to leave. There were certain restrictions within the group that made it difficult for me to grow. You know, and back then I think you saw that happen with a lot of groups. The Commodores, you know, Lionel left. You saw Michael Jackson leave the Jacksons. I mean, you get to the point where you know, I was asked to do solo projects by the record company. They wouldn't allow me to do that. I was asked to write songs for other people. They didn't want me to do that. So it got to the point where if I wanted to grow, I almost had to leave that situation. And that's primarily the reason why I left, just because I thought that it was time, you know. But I must say that that was one of the greatest periods of my life as far as music is concerned. I really cherish those days. And probably my favorite song of all is an LTD song. Of everything I recorded, I think Love Ballad is still my favorite song.
Yes,
so.
me too. And Back in Love Again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an upbeat tune.
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
One more question, and I know you have to leave to go on stage. How do you feel about the new talent that's out here? Have they been sampling your music, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I have no problem when they sample my music.
That's good to hear.
No, I don't have a problem with that at all. You know, I think there are a lot of young artists that I like, and a lot of them that I don't like. And of course, I think the hardest time I have is distinguishing one artist from the next. You know, because I can listen to the radio and I can't tell who is who today. Whereas back in the 60s or 70s, you knew immediately when you heard Aretha Franklin, you knew immediately when you heard Marvin Gaye, you knew immediately when you heard Stevie Wonder. Today, I have to ask my son, who is that? Because they all sound alike. So to me, there's not as much distinction, and I think musically, music has taken a step backwards as far as I'm concerned, because I mean, you know, it used to be a structure in a song. There was a verse, there was a bridge, there was a hook, there was a chorus. Well, today, for the most part, they have a one chord, the whole song is structured off of one chord, and they write everything off of that. So I think a lot of the character is taken out of music. I think young people have got caught up in the sampling and not growing as artists. And so I kind of feel that sometimes the artistry has been taken out of it. It's become an era of computerized sampling, and I would like to see it get back to where it would open up and they would let the music evolve again. I have a show coming up in Martha's Vineyard with musicians from the Berklee School of Music, and I grew up playing with musicians. So I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston is right up the street. And you know, it's encouraging because it's nice to see that there are young people still learning the art of music and respecting the art of music. And I would just like to see the listeners start to accept real music again. You know, there are some young artists, like I said, that are expanding, but for the most part, I think music is kind of taking a step backwards.
Yes, and I think that there are many talented musicians out there and artists, but they want to make the money and they want to be mainstream, so they fall into that.
Yeah. Well, you know, music goes through periods. You know,
Yes.
you see that every era has its distinct sound, and I'm hoping that we get to a new era soon.
Yeah, tell me about it. Something new, please.
Yes, really.
Well, I just want to thank you, Jeffrey.
All right, that's my pleasure. All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm Jeffrey Osborne, and you're watching Real Black.
Perfect.